This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The Trump administration says it will pay out 50% of Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits this month amid the government shutdown. Stephen Dinan reports the decision to pay partial benefits is a reversal for the White House. It was made at the prodding of two federal judges who challenged the administration's initial decision to withhold all food stamp money starting this month. Deputy Undersecretary Patrick Penn said the Department of Agriculture has a $4.65 billion contingency fund that can be used for the SNAP program, despite the partial government shutdown. Officials say once the contingency money is gone, they won't be able to pay anymore. Voters in Virginia and New Jersey head to the polls Tuesday to decide high-stakes races that could offer early clues about the national political mood 1 year out from the midterm elections. Seth MacLachlan reports former Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger has a steady lead in the polls over Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears in the Virginia gubernatorial race. Of all the contests on the map, the New Jersey governor's race might be the most attractive and attainable prize for Republicans. They hope to build on gains from 2024 in the traditionally Democratic-leaning state. On the ballot are Democratic Representative Mikey Sherrill, a former Navy helicopter pilot, and Republican Jack Ciattarelli, a businessman and former state lawmaker. Small businesses that sued President Trump over his tariffs aren't just looking to end them, they're also hoping to receive a refund from the federal government to compensate for their losses. Alex Sawyer reports the Supreme Court is set to hear their case Wednesday in what should be a significant case of this term, testing the limits of the president's powers. At issue are a series of global tariffs Trump declared, as well as specific levies on Canada, Mexico, and China, imposed because he wanted more action to curb the flow of fentanyl into the United States. Michael McConnell, one of the attorneys for the 5 small businesses that are suing, said they have sustained serious setbacks since the president raised tariffs, including a potential bankruptcy for one. Legal scholars say the Trump administration may have a solid argument that international drug cartels are using narcotics as de facto weapons of war. Ben Wolfgang reports analysts say that rationale seems to be the Trump administration's best legal defense as it strikes alleged drug boats off the coasts of Central and South America while insisting the U.S. technically isn't at war and doesn't need congressional approval to continue the campaign. So far, the U.S. has struck at least 16 alleged drug boats and killed at least 64 people in the process. The strikes have received significant criticism at home, including from lawmakers of both parties, as well as abroad. Top officials at the United Nations recently said the administration is violating international law and carrying out extrajudicial killings. And finally, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says resolving cases of missing Americans from the Vietnam War remains a top priority. Bill Gertz reports the Pentagon estimates that more than 1,500 U.S. troops remain missing from the Vietnam War, which ended in 1975. Many are classified as non-recoverable. Hegseth said searching for lost service members remains and finding out what happened to missing soldiers is a foundation of U.S.-Vietnamese defense ties. In return for Vietnam's cooperation on the issue, the Pentagon is scaling up efforts to help Vietnam search for and identify its soldiers that are missing from the war. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.